A Merry Christmas to you tonight. It's Christmas, and that means it's time to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ as leaders emphasize the need for more peace and love in a world faced with a global pandemic. Nigerian Christians join their counterparts in other parts of the world to celebrate, and not even the pandemic could diminish their mood. You can save our lives by simply telling the truth about your COVID-19 status. Nigerian doctors cry out after losing 20 healthcare workers in 1 week to what it describes as non-disclosure on the part of patients. And EU ambassadors receive a Christmas Day briefing on the post-Brexit trade deal reached with the UK.
Merry Christmas. On Business News tonight, Central Bank debits 349.72 billion naira from 23 lenders for breaching cash reserve ratio requirements.
Merry Christmas. On Sports News tonight, the league management company officially unveils match day 1 fixtures for the 2020-2021 Nigeria Professional Football League season.
It's Christmas, a special day in the Christendom calendar, symbolizing the birth of Jesus Christ in Bethlehem over 2,000 years ago. Christmas comes with a lot of fun fare, including spiritual reflection on the important foundations of the Christian faith and a celebration of God's love for the world through the birth of his son, Jesus. The day is also marked with church services, and here in Lagos, southwest Nigeria, not even the restrictions by government over the COVID-19 pandemic could stop worshippers from making the best of the celebrations.
Church service on Christmas Day is an age-long tradition that many Christians will not ignore. Mindful of the coronavirus pandemic, churches ensure that precautionary measures are observed. Traditional Christmas hymns reverberate as parishioners at the Cathedral Church of Christ in Marina gather for a special church service. These are readings and sermons related to the birth of Jesus Christ.
Whoever believes in him is not condemned.
And a message from the pulpit.
When a government is not righteous, it affects everybody. The promise of Christmas is that the Messiah will govern with righteousness and his peace will be established.
At Our Lady of Perpetual Help Catholic Church, Isheri Olofi, parishioners are engrossed in sessions of praise and worship. A contemporary play about the birth of Jesus Christ is one of the main highlights of the service at the Kingsway International Christian Center.
Jesus is the light of the world, and we believe, God, that there is going to be light in this darkness, and one day COVID-19 will be a thing of the past. So let us jubilate, celebrate, like we know that we already have the victory.
One thief to the left.
At the Citadel Global Community Church, the senior pastor, Tunde Bakari, explains that the birth of Christ symbolizes the beginning of new things for mankind.
What's his name? Holy Child Jesus.
The cleric sheds more light on his message after the service.
Like Jeremiah said, the Lord shall do a new thing on earth. A woman shall encompass a man. That was fulfilled. That is the beginning of a new calendar for humanity. And we trust God that those who believe him will receive that newness in this season. And God will have mercy upon our leaders and upon our nation so that Nigeria can turn around for the better and in our lifetime.
For the faithful, though, Christmas represents different things to different people.
It's like a renewal of hope, for mankind.
If not for anything, we are alive, we are healthy, so it's cause for a lot of thanksgiving and appreciation to God.
Christmas is not about presents. It's also about caring for each other and loving one another.
Despite the low-key celebration, Christmas Day is always a delight many look forward to. And starting the day from church is a reminder for Christians that Jesus Christ is the reason for the season.
Over the nation's capital, there was also celebration galore as the faithful believe that there is indeed cause for celebration in spite of the events of the outgoing year. For the primate of the Anglican Communion, the Most Reverend Henry Ndukuba, the celebration is an opportunity to address what has become a thorny issue in the land, security. Reverend Ndukuba is throwing his weight behind those calling for a change in leadership of the country's security apparatus. Our correspondent, Terry Ikumi, has a report.
A very calm atmosphere is observed at the Cathedral Church of Advent in Abuja as worshippers arrive for the Christmas Day service in scanty numbers due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has disrupted the norm. Churchgoers are expected to wash their hands and pass through a decontaminating tunnel. Inside the church, it is unusually not full to capacity, as the primate of the Anglican Communion in Nigeria delivers the Christmas message.
This Christmas is the celebration of God's love for a world that is under devastation. That the coming of Jesus Christ, the birth of our Lord Jesus, is a good news, is the good tidings of great joy.
At the end of service, beyond the Christmas celebration, Archbishop Ndukuba reacts to calls for the removal of the service chiefs following the spate of insecurity in the country.
When you do one thing the same way over time and over situations, and you will always get the same result. So we will encourage the president and those who advise him to go back to the drawing board and look at what needs to be done.
At the Catholic Archdiocese, the situation is the same. The usually full auditorium is scanty. Speaking to journalists at the end of church service, the Catholic Archbishop Ignatius K. Gama comments on the COVID-19 pandemic.
We just have to live with it and take the precautions that are absolutely necessary. Let us not be deceived that it doesn't exist. It does. And all we do to conquer this disease is to take the appropriate measures, the hand washing and the face mask and the distancing and all that. We need to be careful.
And just like every Nigerian, the security situation in the country is a worry to him.
Don't say we are criticizing you. Don't say we are attacking you when we cry out and say, protect us, save us. There is insecurity. Please, let it not be politicized. Let it be that you are concerned about Nigerians and you will do everything possible.
Apart from the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, Nigerians are celebrating the Christmas amid rising cost of food. The message from the clerics is for everyone to stay hopeful and trust God for a better Nigeria. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Here in the South, messages from many of the political and religious leaders centered around the need for sober reflection, love, and peaceful coexistence. Christian faithful in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, observing the Christmas celebration. This is in total compliance with the state government's directive for moderate services across churches owing to the increasing cases of COVID-19. In another part of the city, former primate of the Anglican Church, Jasper Akinola, joined others at a special service held at the St. Andrew's Anglican Church at the Presidential Hilltop. After the service, Primate Akinola asked leaders to shun all divisive tendencies and embrace peace and unity, especially at this critical time in the nation's history.
Peace in nation building. These are the very pillars of any nation. Where there is no peace, where there is no unity, you have the opposite: disunity and chaos.
In Ondo State, the priest of the Mary Queen of Angels Catholic Church Parish in Akure, the state capital, Reverend Father Matthew Ologun, admonished Christians and in particular the leaders to allow love, peace and justice reign in their hearts.
If each one of us allows ourselves that the birth of Christ permeates our mind and our hearts, then the world will be a better place to be. It's not as if we are not, we don't understand the meaning of Christ's coming, but it's just the nature of man.
In the southeastern state of Anambra, the Christmas celebrations is a time for government officials and clerics to speak to the faithful on some burning issues in the land. The state governor, Willie Obiano, notes that mankind has been heavily traumatized in 2020 and only genuine kindness can heal the wound inflicted by the COVID-19 pandemic and other afflictions. Other clerics tasked government at all levels to tackle inflation and insecurity while rekindling hope among Christians.
Know that the fundamental responsibility of a government is protection of lives and what? Property. And any government that cannot do it is not really working. Unfortunately, here people do not resign. Otherwise, I know if what is happening in Nigeria as a country, those in authority, many should have resigned by now.
Still in the southeast, this time in Ebonyi State, Governor David Umahi thanked God for his grace over his people, in spite of the challenges during the year.
I ask our people to go about their normal businesses to celebrate the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ. This COVID-19 will still go the way the first one went.
Staying in the southeast, the Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodimma, joins Imo indigents and Christian faithful in his country home in Omuma community in Oru East local government area of Imo State. In his message at the Holy Trinity Catholic Church, Omuma, he emphasizes that the welfare of Imo indigents and the development of the state remains top priority for his administration.
And the need for government to prudently use and utilize the resources at their disposal to impact on the people. Because I realize that civil servants alone are not the Imo people. There are so many Imo people who are not civil servants, who don't get salary. The government must take care of them.
And in the South-South, Cross River State Governor Ben Ayade is asking Christians at all times to exhibit the exemplary life of Jesus Christ. Describing Christ as a symbol of peace, humility and selflessness, in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital, Governor Udom Emmanuel is reminding people that the circumstances of the birth of Jesus did not constitute a hindrance to the fulfillment of his purpose on earth. As Christian faithful celebrate the season, with all activities in line with COVID-19 protocols, many are hopeful that before the next Christmas, a more conducive atmosphere to celebrate will exist, and most of the afflictions currently facing the world will no longer be there. In part two, after the break, we'll have more on Christmas celebrations in the northern part of the country. Plus, we'll be looking more into the essence of Christmas celebrations. We'll be joined by Pastor Emmanuel Omodile of the New Light Baptist Church. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. It is Christmas, and that means a time to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, as leaders emphasize the need for more peace and love in a world faced with a global pandemic. Nigerian Christians join their counterparts the world over to celebrate, and not even the pandemic could diminish their mood. You can save our lives by simply telling the truth about your COVID-19 status. Nigerian doctors cry out after losing 20 healthcare workers in 1 week to what is described as non-disclosure on the part of patients. And And EU ambassadors receive a Christmas Day briefing on the post-Brexit trade deal reached with the UK. We continue with the celebrations here in Nigeria. The mood was similar in other parts of the north, where Christian faithful went to church to mark the Christmas Day with a service. Although social distancing was observed in many of the churches, the compulsory use of face mask was not adhered to by some worshippers.
Worshippers at the St. William's Cathedral, Lafia, gathered to celebrate the birth of Christ. The Deputy Governor of Nasarawa State, Emmanuel Akabe, joined several other Christian faithful to celebrate the day. His admonition to the congregation centers on love and religious tolerance, just as he reminds the congregation of the new strain of the coronavirus and the need to stay safe.
We must use sanitizers. We must check our temperatures like we used to do before. It helped us. So please, my dear brothers and sisters in Christ, help the government to help us.
In Niger State, worshippers at the Catholic Cathedral turned out to observe the Christian Mass, with some observing the COVID-19 protocols such as the use of face masks. The worshippers say in spite of the negative effect of the pandemic in the year 2020, they're grateful to God for the gift of life and look forward to a promising 2021.
The changes we can talk about is probably the economic problems and the COVID-19 pandemic that Nigerians, are experiencing or are going through. But in whichever way, we want to thank God, and as you saw right from inside, people are still joyous in this mood, and at the end of it, we all give glory to God for having brought us thus far.
Christmas church services in Kaduna State are not very different to others. No thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic. At the St. Michael's Anglican Cathedral and the St. John's Catholic Church in the Kaduna State capital, hand sanitizer points are set up at the entrance and the use of face mask is observed. The Bishop of Kaduna Anglican Diocese, the Most Reverend Timothy Yahaya, calls on residents to shun acts that will lead to the spread of the virus.
We as church leaders, being responsible stakeholders in the society, are calling upon all worshippers and followers to be extra careful and to observe the COVID protocol. Therefore, of course, you will discover that a lot of rearrangements on Christmas festivities has taken place, so that we don't be agents of the spread of bad news, because Christmas is good news. What is the bad news? The bad news is to disobey the COVID protocols. The good news is to obey and make sure that COVID becomes a thing of the past.
As the year 2020 gradually winds down, it is expected that the lessons learned from Christmas will be reflected in the lives of Christians and non-Christians in the new year and beyond.
Beyond our shores now, low-key Christmas celebrations took place around the world, with many concerned about COVID-19 infections. It's been a season for reflection, gratitude, bringing joy to those who have experienced so little of it this year.
Nel Natale celebriamo la luce del Cristo che viene al mondo.
The world experiences a Christmas like none other, and amidst the coronavirus pandemic, head of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis, calls on political and business leaders to not allow market forces and patent laws to take priority over making vaccines available to all. Pope Francis gave his usual message to the world this year from a lectern inside the Vatican instead of from the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica before tens of thousands. For the Archbishop of Canterbury, this has been the year of walking through the valley of the shadow of death.
For billions around the world, 2020 has been the year of walking through the valley of the shadow of death.
In Bethlehem, the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, Pier Battista Pizzaballa, led Christmas Eve midnight mass in the Church of the Nativity, believed to be the birthplace of Jesus. The mass in the West Bank town of Bethlehem, which usually attracts hundreds of tourists and worshippers from around the world, was nearly empty this year amid COVID-19 rules and restrictions. As millions of Christians around the world are confined to their homes, Egypt cancelled Christmas and New Year's Eve celebrations, but kept churches open and has so far mainly depended on urging citizens to take precautions. Its small Catholic community attended midnight mass in Cairo, the capital.
More than 2,000 years ago,
in the United States, President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump wished Americans a Merry Christmas and praised first responders, service members and the medical community for saving lives and fighting COVID-19.
We are delivering millions of doses of a safe and effective vaccine that will soon end this terrible pandemic and save millions and millions of lives.
Many have not been able to see Santa physically this year, but he did drop by a children's hospital in Moscow. He was seen climbing down hospital walls, bringing joy to the children. Staying with the Christmas celebration, Queen Elizabeth II says all many people want for Christmas this year is a simple hug, and that this season would be hard for those who lost loved ones to COVID-19 pandemic or were separated by curbs on social mixing. In a traditional pre-recorded Christmas Day address to the nation, the 94-year-old monarch repeatedly spoke of hope for the future, whilst acknowledging millions of Britons would be unable to have their usual family celebrations this year. The Queen herself has had to eschew her traditional Christmas celebrations and is spending the festive season quietly at Windsor Castle with her 99-year-old husband, Prince Philip.
Every year, we herald the coming of Christmas by turning on the lights. And light does more than create a festive mood. Light brings hope. For Christians, Jesus is the light of the world, but we can't celebrate his birth today in quite the usual way. People of all faiths have been unable to gather as they would wish for their festivals, such as Passover, Easter, Eid and Vaisakhi. Today, our frontline services still shine that lamp for us, supported by the amazing achievements of modern science, and we owe them a debt of gratitude. We continue to be inspired by the kindness of strangers and draw comfort that even on the darkest nights, there is hope in the new dawn.
When the News at 10 returns, Nigeria Medical Association raises alarm over the rising number of health workers losing their lives to COVID-19 as a result of patients not disclosing their true COVID status. Plus, Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves rise for the first time in 8 weeks as Brent crude jumps to $51 at the international market. We'll have more in business news. Join us again. Welcome back to the News at 10. It's still Christmas. Let's get some insight now to the celebrations worldwide. Joining us now, the News at 10, is Pastor Emmanuel Omodele. He's the senior pastor at the New Light Baptist Church. Thank you for being here on Christmas Day, and a Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you.
So, Pastor, thank you for joining us. Tell us what you think about, what you feel about this celebration taking place during a pandemic.
Well, the pandemic has actually affected the celebration of Christmas this year greatly with the low attendance of the church activities and things like that. And also, you know, there are a lot of activities that come with the Christmas. So it has been a very low-key one this year because of the pandemic.
Yeah, and I know a lot of Christians were disappointed because many look forward to this time of the year when they can be with family members, when they can celebrate and just be grateful that they're together at the end of the year. But we've been hearing a lot of messages of hope, especially of love, of selflessness, and so on. Is there really light at the end of the tunnel? When is it really time to have, hope, and when does that hope eventually become real?
We should start having hope from now. And that's what Jesus Christ came from, to give us hope. And as believers in Christ Jesus, we know that he came to the world in order to deliver the world from sin and all the attendants, things that came with sin, sicknesses, diseases. Pandemic is one of them. So from now, we should start having hope and trusting the Lord. We know that very, very soon this will be over for us as a nation and globally.
Yeah, and a lot of us are looking forward to 2021. What can you say about the world and about Nigeria? What can you say about the year coming?
The year coming is a year that all of us should raise our hope and put our hope in the Lord. I know that with the developments with the World WHO, the vaccine, and then the precautions that have been emphasized all over the world, I truly believe that this pandemic, there's going to be a breakthrough over this issue. And for us also, we believe that God, speaking to us, has raised our hope that 2021 will be a better year. God is going to bring great restoration to the nation, and particularly Nigeria. We are faced with a lot of economic challenge and security challenge now, but I can assure us that 2021 is going to be a better year than what we've seen in this 2020.
Well, we'll take your prophecy for that. Pastor Emmanuel, thank you again for joining us on the News at 10. A Merry Christmas to you, your family, and of course your congregation.
Thank you for having me. God bless you.
Moving on to security issues now, at least 6 bandits have been killed by an angry mob in Sanga and Lere local government areas of the state. 2 of the bandits were killed after they attacked a businessman and dispossessed him of money and other valuables at Fadankashi in Sanga local government area. The State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Samuel Arwan, who confirmed the incident, says on receiving the distress call, the military and police set out to the location, but the angry locals had already mobbed the bandits and burnt them to ashes before they got to the scene. He also explained that the bandits opened fire on motorists plying the Aboro-Kafanchan road and in the process shot a driver who knocked down one of the bandits, killing him. Sadly, the motorist died from bullet wounds. At Ungwan Nunu village in Sanga local government, a commercial motorcyclist was killed by bandits who escaped with his motorcycle. The governor, Nasir El-Rufai, has commiserated with families of the victims, appealing to residents not to resort to jungle justice. Meanwhile, Governor Umaru Fintiri of Adamawa State has condemned the attack on Garkida town in Gombe local government area of the state by men suspected to be Boko Haram terrorists. 2 people, including a 5-year-old, were killed when the attackers stormed the community on Christmas Eve. According to eyewitness accounts, the terrorists came in search of food in trucks. Governor Fintiri also called on security agencies to do more to forestall attacks in the state. To the reality of the pandemic, the Nigeria Medical Association is asking patients who are visiting hospitals to declare their true health status as more and more doctors and health workers are contracting COVID-19. The NMA says no fewer than 20 doctors have died from the COVID-19 related complications in the last 1 week. According to the chairman of the NMA in the Federal Capital Territory, Dr. Enema Amodu, many healthcare workers who contracted the virus did so after unknowingly coming in contact with asymptomatic patients.
This second wave is so overwhelming. This second wave is more catastrophic. And this probably will be because a lot of people have gone back to the way of doing things. I've thought that the virus is over, it has come and it is gone, and they've let their guards down. For those of us in the health sector, we've lost quite a number of colleagues in the last 1 week alone. Across the country, we've lost not less than 20 doctors in the last 1 week. We also want to use this opportunity to talk to our patients. As you come to us in the hospitals, in the clinics, please oblige us. Wear your mask. Tell us the truth about your past medical condition. Don't hold any information back. I'm the chairman, NMA FCT, and by the special grace of God, I'm standing here today a survivor, because I inadvertently saw a patient. I'm an ENT surgeon, I'm an ENT consultant, saw a patient that I didn't know had COVID, and she didn't tell me, and she knew. I was exposed, I contracted the virus, I developed symptoms, but by the grace of God, my colleagues rallying around me, I survived. So, to our patients, please tell us the truth when you come to our clinics, to our hospitals.
Frequent travel from the UK to Nigeria has left people wondering if a new strain of COVID-19 discovered in the UK is responsible for the current spike in cases in Nigeria, described as the second wave. The new UK variant, which was first discovered in early December, is reputed to be more transmissible than previous strains. Our correspondent, Mary Alale Yusuf, explains.
Tracks the RNA or DNA. So this protects.
Scientists at the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research are already studying COVID-19 samples submitted in the last few weeks to determine if the latest strain of the virus discovered in the UK is in Nigeria and in what percentage. The perceived characteristics of the new variant are causing some concern.
One of the papers I read, they said it's even a smaller threshold of it can result in an infection, like 70% more transmissible than what we had earlier. That's the concern, really. And that's why kind of some people are trying to cut off people from UK. And UK itself is trying to make a tier 4 high-level restriction in some particular clusters where they found it. But is that really the issue? It transmits much more. Any other thing that may mean, we are not sure at this time. Because that it transmits faster does not necessarily mean it may be more pathogenic. It may give more symptoms or kill people more. So it's possible that even though it's highly transmissible, it may not be so virulent that it will kill much more. It may be the less virulent, but we are not sure yet.
According to the director of the African Center of Excellence for Genomics of Infectious Diseases at the Redeemers University, these concerns are unfounded.
There have not really been established experimental system in vitro to demonstrate that, the accumulation of those mutations are directly responsible for the increased transmissibility. First of all, in terms of pathogenicity, there is no establishment between the variant and pathogenicity. That is completely out of the picture.
What's worth noting is this UK variant has not been found in Nigeria.
The variant that we found in Nigeria is independent, from the UK variant. It is originated from Nigeria, but it shares similarities with for the UK variant, and that is very clear. There is also no association between the variant that we found in Nigeria and the spike that you see in Nigeria presently. So we have 2 samples out of 250 genomes that we recently sequenced from Nigeria. One was collected in August 3rd, and another one in October 10th. We are working with the NCDC to analyze the samples that are present in Nigeria to know if there is at all any relationship between what we see, the spike, and anything related to the virus.
The Nigeria Center for Disease Control is collaborating with scientists in the country in studies of the new Nigerian variant to see if there's any connection between it and the recent spike in confirmed cases. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
And Wawadu has the day's business stories.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Amarachi. Hello and welcome to Business News. Let's begin with Nigeria's foreign exchange reserve. It has recorded its first increase in 8 weeks as the gross reserves position rose by $67.89 million to $34.91 billion. And that's according to the latest data coming from the Central Bank of Nigeria. This is coming as international oil price benchmark Brent crude futures advanced by 0.2% to $51.30 a barrel on Thursday before traders closed for the Christmas break. But the country's external reserves had dropped by $437 million in 2 weeks from $35.26 billion as at December the 3rd to $34.82 billion as at December the 17th. Meanwhile, data from the FMDQ shows that Forex turnover rose from $83.50 million on Monday this week to $236.9 million on Tuesday, and that represents an increase of 183.7%. The Nigerian Ports Authority says it is expecting 23 ships laden with petroleum products, food items and other goods from December the 25th to January the 5th, 2021. According to the NPA, the ships are expected to arrive at the Lagos Port Complex with items like automobile gasoline, butane gas, bulk, wheat and general cargo. The NPA further says the 11 ships have already arrived at the ports waiting to berth with bulk wheat and petrol, while 16 other ships were at the ports discharging wheat, petrol, frozen fish, automobile gasoline, jet fuel, bulk fertilizer and general cargo. The Standards Organization of Nigeria has sealed up a plaza for adulterating motor lubricants from well-known brands during an enforcement exercise at the Auto Spare Parts and Machineries Dealers Association. The Director General of SUN, Farouk Salim, represented by an official of the SUN, says the move is to guard against the prevalence of motor accidents and machine breakdown, particularly during the Yuletide, resulting from the use of adulterated lubricants, while reaffirming the commitment of the production of quality, locally manufactured lubricants. The Director General says the standards body would leave no stone unturned at achieving sanity in the nation's lubricants market. And that's Business News tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Merry Christmas. Back to you, Amarachi.
Welcome back. EU Chief Negotiator Michel Barnier today led a meeting with diplomats from the 27-member bloc to brief them on the post-Brexit trade deal reached with the UK. MPs will vote on the deal in Parliament on December 30, with the UK set to exit existing trade rules on December 31st. The 1,246-page document containing the deal has been summarized into 34 pages and published on the UK government's website. The European Parliament needs to ratify the deal, but it is unlikely to do so until the new year, meaning its application will formally be provisional until then. 3 people are currently in hospital injured from a blast that shook the U.S. city of Nashville, Tennessee, early this Christmas Day. Police say the explosion was deliberate and linked to a vehicle. It's not clear whether anyone was inside at the time of the explosion. Images from the scene show blown-out windows, damaged buildings, and felled trees. No cause has yet been identified for the explosion.
I think people will view that it was not an accident, and from that, but it'll take a little bit of time to get to the bottom of it. And I do think it was clearly done when nobody was going to be around.
Why do you think that would be?
We'll wait for the investigators in the courts. But it was grateful that there not more people were around. If this was, it would be a different message if it was, 5 p.m. on a Friday.
At least 15 people have reportedly died in recent weeks waiting in queues to cross the border from South Africa into Zimbabwe. Coronavirus screening is being blamed for the extended time taken for migrant workers to get clearance to return home for the seasonal holiday. Local media showed lines of cars and trucks stretching for many kilometers on the narrow road leading into the Beitbridge port that serves as the main crossing point between the two countries. They're also reporting that exhaustion and ill health owing to lack of facilities at Beitbridge have contributed to the number of fatalities.
Welcome to Sports News. The league management company says officially released Matchday 1 fixtures for the 2020-2021 NPFL season that will kick off on Sunday, December the 27th. At the Yakubu Gowon Stadium, Rivers United will host Rangers International in one of the Super Sunday clashes. Adamawa United will play Kanu Pillars at the Pantami Stadium. Heartland of Owerri will travel to Katsina for their season opener, while Nasarawa United and Wiki Tourists will slug it out at the Lafayette Township Stadium. The first derby of the season will be between Akwa United and Dakada FC in Akwa Ibom. The Agege Stadium in Lagos will host the fixture between MFM FC and Warri Wolves. Another derby will be between Eimba and Abia Warriors. Manchester City have confirmed that Kyle Walker and Gabriel Jesus have tested positive for coronavirus. Two members of the club staff whose identities have not been revealed also tested positive. Defender Walker and striker Jesus now look set to miss City's Premier League matches against Newcastle, Everton and Chelsea, with a return possible for their Carabao Cup semi-final against Manchester United on January the 6th. All four personnel will now observe a period of self-isolation in accordance with Premier League and UK government protocol on quarantine. Staying with football, Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp insists Mohamed Salah is in good spirits and is happy at Liverpool. Dismissing media speculation, the Egyptian wants to leave the club. Salah told a Madrid-based newspaper in an interview last weekend that he admired Real Madrid and Barcelona, fueling talk in the British press that he was looking to move on. He was left on the bench after last weekend's 7-0 thrashing of Crystal Palace, but still scored 2 goals when he came on to help the leaders maintain their current form.
About the deals, we never speak. Why should we start now? Not with you. So it's, and the rest, so Mo is in a good mood. Mo is in a good moment, in really good shape. So that's the most important thing for me, and training. Okay, today were no cameras, and well, no. You would have seen him laughing a lot. He enjoyed the session, so that's good as well. And all the rest is for sure nice for all of you to write about, but internally, no, nothing really.
That's it on Sports News. I'm Arachi, back to you.
Thanks, Olumide. And the main news again. Christians all over the world have been celebrating Christmas with world leaders spreading messages of love, peace in a world faced with a global pandemic. Nigeria Medical Association has raised an alarm over the failure of patients to disclose their true COVID-19 status. This is coming as the association claims 20 health workers have lost their lives in the last 1 week alone to the virus. And EU ambassadors today received a Christmas Day briefing on the post-Brexit trade deal reached with the UK. British MPs are expected to vote on the deal on December 30. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Have a Merry Christmas and stay safe.